American Pharoah has lost the lead at the top of the stretch. Frosted on the outside is now in front, but American Pharoah is battling on from the inside. He's showing all this fight with 1 furlong to run, and here on the far outside comes Keen Ice with a late threat. American Pharoah put away Frosted. He has to deal with Keen Ice. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharoah.
Bobby Shoemaker, Andrew Calvano. It's Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge for Friday, August 5th. We got 2 at Del Mar, 2 more at Saratoga this week. And before we move forward, I apologize to the viewers. Certainly not 100% this week, feeling a little bit under the weather. So I will do the best I can, fighting through Andrew, because it is Whitney weekend at our favorite place. But let's start at Del Mar initially. In fact, we only have 1 race at Del Mar. We have 3 at Saratoga this week. But nevertheless, Del Mar race 9. It's the Grade 3 La Jolla Handicap. It's 2 turns on the turf for 3-year-olds. It's a field of 10. Monster B, Andrew, the 8-horse, is your 5-2 morning line favorite. Considering the pace that I read, Andrew, and this horse's running style, and considering the back class and how this horse has performed recently, I certainly couldn't argue it. Gary Stevens has found himself again at this meet. Peter Miller, clearly a very respectable trainer. No problems with the 8 being the favorite. Your thoughts on this horse and his chances to win the race?
Yeah, without a doubt. And this horse is rolling in on a three-race win streak on 2 different circuits here. Peter Miller's certainly been off to a hot start. This horse they didn't really pay much for this horse, and I think they just kind of struck lightning in the bottle here. And this horse has really been rock and rolling, almost a $250,000 earner. That will go over. This one should win the race today. 100% like Bob, like you said, I think this one could definitely win the race, but in these types of races, going 2 turns on the turf, especially in a big circuit like Del Mar, gotta look for a price here. You guys know me. With that being said, I'm going to go with the 9 here, and that's Ibadan. 12-1 in the morning line here for Neil Drysdale and Roberto Arroyo. Arroyo's been riding white hot. He doesn't get too many mounts, but when he does, it certainly looks like he's bringing them all of them in the money. He's sitting at 20% so far, so he's rocking and rolling. He's bringing the big price in. I think you do it here. The horse last race was in the Oceanside Stakes, where a lot of these horses exit from. The horse was steadied early on, had to steady again at the 16th pole. I really want to play this horse based on trip handicapping. I really don't think that the horse was given a fair chance. It was only 5-1 that day. If you go back to that race 2 back on January 12th, this one posted a 93 buyer. That ranks as one of the highest in the fields. And didn't even win that race. Finished 3rd by 3 lengths there behind Ohio, and it's in the post. So now coming off, it's a 4th start in the U.S. You know, his lone start here was the downhill turf course at Santa Anita. I really like the fact that I think this one will be forwardly placed today. Not so much on the front end, but sitting about second shelf. Should be enough speed that sets up for this one. And he just makes 1 run covered up, and hopefully at an overlay here, that's what I think we're going to get.
A 1:12 time form U.S. speed figure for Grade 3 races out at Del Mar and Santa Anita, Andrew. That certainly fits here very nicely. The pace here, I think it's a huge deal. I think a lot of horses here want the lead. A lot of good horses want the lead, and it's one of those scenarios, Andrew, where a lot of good horses are going to compromise themselves, and maybe not the most talented horse in the race is going to end up being the victor and end up in the winner's circle. Your thoughts on the pace? How many horses do you see going to the front end? And your thoughts on the talent level going to the front end?
Yeah, I think this is a mad dash for the front end. I definitely see the 1 Free Rose definitely going to show some more speed here. In this one, at 12-1, could definitely be a factor. Mr. Rory, I think, is the controlling speed here and can definitely do a big part there. Number 10, Imperious 1, definitely going to show some speed. Wouldn't be surprised if Liam the Charmer gets in the mix a little bit here. Was all the way outside in his last start and rallied a little bit too late. Maybe he's forwardly placed contesting the early pace, but I think we about had it right on the pace side.
I wanted to ask you about Mr. Rory. I almost pulled the trigger on this horse because I see so many horses that want to be on the front end, and I'm afraid of horses that are coming from off the pace, and we talk about this on many occasions. They find trouble, and they may be the best horse in the race. They don't end up winning the race. Your thoughts on Mr. Rory? Do you think this horse can take him a really long way on the front end?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's done so before. If you look at that race 2 back in the Rainbow, I mean, this one went off 38-1 and just kind of rock and rolled all the way. I definitely think there's a chance here. If you look at the last start, it was kind of dueling. It looked like it was a pretty hot pace up front. I mean, maybe that's a similar case today, but I think this one just has so much speed, especially then when Maldonado wants to open up a length or two on the field. I think that would be a great setting here for the 5.
Yeah, there's no way I'm playing this pick 4 on Saturday and not including that horse. I just think that horse could really pay dividends later if you're still alive in the last leg of the pick 4. I ended up going with Dresden Hermes, the 4 horse at 8-1, Andrew. I just think that this horse, who faced the same type of horses that he's going to face on Saturday, really had a lot of trouble last time out under Mike Smith. And no offense to Mike, and I know he's having a great summer, I would much rather have Kent DeSormo on my horses than Mike Smith. Last time out was very wide in the race. If you look at the race 2 starts back, only beaten a length and 3/4 by Camelot Kitten. And then May 7th at Churchill Downs, the horse walks out of the gate and goes 7 wide. At Churchill the day that Camelot Kitten beat Beach Patrol, and we were very high on Beach Patrol that day. So not only do I think the numbers are there, I think trip handicapping's there, I think class is there, I think pace setup is there, and I get a jockey I trust and a guy named Kent DeSormo, and I really think the 8-1 is enticing. Your thoughts on my selection and your thoughts on the odds of the horse when they go into the gate?
I actually had this one at 9-2. So to see this one go up to 8-1 screams value in my mind. I was going to pull the trigger on this one, but I wanted to find a horse that I knew would be an overlay because I knew this horse would be bet down from the 8-1 morning line.
Sure.
Quite honestly, I think this is the horse to beat. Either way you look at it. I mean, I know you have good connections with the 2 and the 3, but I mean, how could you discount a horse that's running with Grade 3 and Grade 2 company for the half of his career as a Grade 3 winner? I mean, you're talking about a horse that, was in the Breeders' Cup and almost won the Breeders' Cup, if the race was a little bit shorter there over the yielding course. But, I mean, I think this one, when it comes down to back class, familiarity with the course, I think Dresden Hermes is truly the one to beat in this race.
So, Andrew, you're on the 9 horse, and I am on the 4 Dresden Hermes. Both of us prices at this juncture, hoping that we both get prices on our horses. And I think with their running style, I think the pace could certainly benefit them. So let's move on to the Spa. It's Saratoga, race 8 on the card. It's the Grade 1 test stakes. It's 7 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-old fillies, Andrew. It's a field of 8. And I believe off the tracks, the 7 horse is your 8-5 morning line favorite. Andrew, I give a lot of credit to favorites that should be the favorite, and deservedly so. I just don't see this horse being the favorite. I don't think that this is the horse to beat. I think this horse is going to get bet, but there's no way that this horse is going to be on my tickets. If he beats me, she beats me, I'll move on. But I don't like off the tracks at all.
Yeah, kind of had her own way last time out in the Mother Goose. It was a very impressive race. It came back to 96 buyers, so you got to tip her hat off to her. I mean, this one has never really finished out of the money. Has a win over the course from crushing last year at Schulerville. So I would respect the horse, Bob, but like you said, I think there's a couple other horses that can definitely play a factor in this race and actually wind up beating this one. I'm just kind of hoping between her and the 3, take a little bit more money. Maybe I'll get some more value on my horse. I'm going to go with number 6, Lewis Baker. I've been high on this horse for a while. This is another horse hasn't finished out of the money yet, and now it's going to go second off the layoff today for Chad Brown. We talk about every week how dangerous that is. I think the 7 furlong cutback really fits this one's style. And I mean, simply like we talked about Dresden Hermes last time, this one's just been facing so much tougher. I mean, you're talking about horses Thrill, Catherine Sophia, Modem, Orlando Rossi, off the tracks like this time out, but was definitely compromised last time out. Stumbled very badly at the start. If you watch that replay, I think between that and the fact that she was going longer, took a little bit out of her. So I think with the cutback, you're getting Irad Ortiz, you're getting Chad Brown. It's a square price for that situation. 9-2. If the 7 and the 3 want to take some more money, maybe we get this one at 5-1 flat. I'm not sure because I know Chad Brown's going to take some money, but that's where I'm rolling here. I think sets up perfectly for this one. Looks to be a decent amount of speed horses, and hopefully Irad has it covered and make one run.
You know, I was really worried about the front end speed here, Andrew, of Karina and Kinsley Kisses. I really respect Kinsley Kisses, the 8-horse, Todd Pletcher runner. This horse, 2 starts back, I believe, or maybe 3 starts back at 7 furlongs, went extremely fast, and I thought ran as good, if not a better race than Karina because of the wide trip. I wanted to ask you about the 2 horses that I think are going to be on the lead, and that was the 3 and the 8. I think that they are the most talented horses in this race, but in my opinion, I think they're going to compromise each other. Your thoughts on the race shape and your thoughts on these 2 horses specifically?
Yeah, I think without a doubt you're going to have these horses compromise one another. I think there's also some speed. It will be curious to see what Todd Pletcher sends out with Kingsley Kisses. I would imagine his game plan isn't to have his 2 horses battle each other on the front end. So, we'll see what the 8 does here. But I think the 7, the 3, I think the 1 is going to show some speed off the rail. It's just a matter of how long she wants to pester the other real speed horses here. But I think that horse is just a send from the go, and we'll see if that one also is going to play a factor while compromising these other ones. But I agree with you, Bob. I think there's going to be a fast pace here.
With that being said, I went with the 5-horse Lightstream at 8-1 morning line with Joel Rosario aboard. Just for everything that I said before as far as the pace scenario is concerned, Andrew, I just think that the 7 furlong distance fits Lightstream's skill set the most. And I think that he's going to come from way off of it on a track that, for the most part, has favored horses coming from off of it, especially hot paces that I see. I like this horse's value. I think this horse is a big-time player, and especially with the pace meltdown that I see, I think Joel will pick him up late, and I think at least 6-1 I'll get on this horse.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I like this one. It even looked pretty good on the turf going 2 back. And then, tried the Mother Goose, was 5 wide, didn't really get a good pace set up there. Once again, you had a wire-to-wire winner. So I think giving this one another shot, I think she's very comfortable with the 7 furlongs, maybe the best in the field at the distance. So I think that's a good knot here. Brian Lynch, he has his runners are always live. Maybe he hasn't started off hot here, but I mean, his best horses haven't run yet. So I think there's value that's going to be had here with the trainer, knowing a lot of people thinking that, he's a 1-for-11 guy, but a lot of his best horses haven't even run yet. So I think you're going to price a Lightstream as well.
So you're on Lewis Bay, the 6. I'm on Lightstream, the 5-horse. So let's move on to Saratoga Race 9. It's the Wyeth Stakes. It's 1.5 miles on the turf for fillies and mares. 3-year-olds and up, Andrew. It's a field of 10. The 6-horse, Guapaza, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, is your 5-2 morning line favorite. Your thoughts on where this horse is going to be from a pace standpoint. Your thoughts on this horse's chances to win the race.
Yeah, and this one did some impressive work in Chile before coming here for Chad Brown here, and won a 1.5 mile race downstate at Belmont, similar to like this one. I think this one is definitely the horse to beat here. Her buyers continue to go up, and I think simply she's the best horse in the field. 2 back, she loses to Sita and C. Khaleesi. 3 back in the Sheepshead Bay, also lost to C. Khaleesi there. So I think this one definitely is backclass and flattered throughout her career so far here in the U.S. Definitely the one to beat. I think she's going to sit right off the early pace. I don't think she's going to contest with it, but I think Javier's going to sit her right off. I'm not sure about the pace here. It could be a little tricky. It may not even be that quick, and we'll get into that. I want to give out my top pick here, and I went with a big long shot here, and that's number 8, Al's Gallop, 20-1. I really, really like this one. I think this horse is perfect for the distance. If you look 2 back in an overnight stakes at Churchill Downs, cleared the field by 5.5. That was an 8-horse field. 2 horses have already come back to win. Was grade 3 placed off a layoff with Javier Castellano aboard in the Bewitch at Keeneland, 3 back. Tried the Modesty at grade 3 at Arlington over their big weekend and ran very gamely, but was bumped hard at the start if you watch the replay there. So I think excuses there. I really think this one will get first run at the top of the stretch. I don't think this one will be too far off. I know when you go deep into the past performances, you can see that this one likes to stay 10, 11 lengths back. But if you notice this year, in the last few starts have been about 3 or 4 lengths off, so I'm hoping that's the case today. Right. These are connections you can trust here at the Spa, the Ramseys, the Makers. It's Whitney Day. It's a big day. You know they're going to be sending out some good horses here. Honestly, if you cross out the 5, I think anybody can win this race. So I think when you say that, okay, you got 14 horses. If that horse, something goes wrong, anybody can win this race. I feel very comfortable landing on a big price with some solid connections.
No question about it, and I understand that horse, and to a certain extent, if you're going to take a big bomb in this race, I think the 8 horse would probably be the horse that you land on with Maker and Saez and everything that you mentioned. Andrew, I just ended up going with the 9 horse Trophy at 6-1. I know that this horse has a habit of not winning races, but if you look at the three races, that this horse has won this year, I think you could certainly make an excuse that 2 of them that it didn't win could have been the best horse in the race, especially last time out. I mean, went 6 wide into the lane. I thought very good finish. Lost against the favorite, which in this race today. 4 wide race before that. Joel sticks aboard. Clement's been hot all year. I think the race shape fits this horse's skill set. I know this horse can run well at 1.5 miles, and I'm going to get a better price than the 6. And I think you can make an excuse for the 9 last time out. I think the 10's a big player as well, but at the end of the day, I think Trophy is your safe bet. And I think that you might get around 6-1 on a horse that a lot of people don't think likes to win, but I think you can make an excuse for his 2 losses this season.
And definitely, I agree with you. This is a horse that's been fighting on the circuit for many years now, and always brings her best, whether she wins or loses. You can see the horse has a lot of heart. And like you said, Bob, you're going to get a better price than you really ever had on this horse, and that's 6-1. So good selection there, Bob. And I think we're basically looking for horses that are to come off that pace and sit about second shelf or just a length or 2 off. It seems like we're on the same horses. A horse I wanted to talk about, Bob, before we move on, is number 1, Photo Call. Here's another horse that's been knocking on the circuit for many years now.
Yep.
This one's on the rail. I'm not sure if the pace is going to get too crazy here. Notice how they go to Kendrick Carmouche, a guy that loves to walk horses on the front end.
Right.
This is a horse that I feel you can wheel underneath some trifectas and exactas. And I wouldn't leave off a Horizontal ticket myself. I think if this one walks on the course, it could be very dangerous.
I completely agree. There's no way that I'm playing pick 4s on Saturday and not including this horse. Carmouche, Todd Pletcher, horse draws the rail, and Carmouche is going to be very aggressive from the bell. And speed kills anywhere, especially on the Navarre circuit, on the turf at this distance, because at the end of the day, a lot of these horses and their jockeys get lackadaisical, and they let the horses on the front end get big leads, and that's just not the way to go in races of this nature. And I think this horse has a chance to go a long ways on the front end. So I'm with you on that, and you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you about a horse that you would include underneath at a price, and we're both in agreement that the 1 horse is the horse there at a price. Will he be 8-1 though? I mean, that's the question. You're looking at Todd Pletcher at New York. Will he be 8-1 at the end of the day?
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be the question here. This horse has tons of back class. I think bettors may realize that. This is a Grade 1 winner here. Because it's Todd Pletcher, maybe because it's Kendrick Carmouche, it might scratch the heads of a couple of handicappers, and maybe we'll stay at 8-1 as opposed to if Javier Castellano or Johnny V was on this horse. So I'd still accept this one at 6-1, especially in horizontals.
So Andrew's on the 8 horse, Al's Gal at 20-1, and I'm on the 9 Trophy at 6-1. Andrew, last but not least on Tournament Talk tonight, it is Saratoga Race 11. It is the De La Rosa Stakes, mile on the turf, fillies and mares, 4-year-old and up, field of 12, Zendaya, 10 horse, 3-1 morning line favorite. Absolutely the horse to beat.
Yeah, without a doubt. This one exits the Intercontinental Stakes here. That was a part of Belmont Stakes weekend. And I mean, this one's just rocking and rolling ever since entering the Chad Brown barn. 2-back license fee, which really was just a workout for Lady Shipman, and that's sure what it was. And she ran second and picked up a nice check there. And I didn't think Chad Brown expected much of anything of her coming off that layoff as well. But came back, crushing the Intercontinental. Some good horses came out of that race. Rumble Doll, Miss Ella. So flattered there by their good performances. And I like you said, I think 100% the horse to beat here has been working out well and is going to stretch out, going 2 turns here. I went with the horse I want to play off trip handicapping, and I really think this horse would get a good pace setup as well. And that's number 8, Acadia, if I'm pronouncing it right, number 8 for Christophe Clement and Joel Rosario. Like you mentioned before, Bob, some top-end connections. We're going to get a good price, and we know we're going to get a good ride here. If you look back, off the layoff in April, goes out into Jen Wiley. Horse loses to Tepin, Weeklea, Illuminate. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I've said many times on the show that just because a horse loses to Tepin doesn't mean that the horse is going to necessarily win next out or, be a monster at the end of the day. But if you watch that replay, this one fought Jose Lezcano like no tomorrow, and whether it was Lezcano strangling the horse or the horse just wanted to run, whatever it was, but, the horse wanted to go, and that's why you can kind of see in the running lines here, was up close to the pace and was pinned down the rail that day. Whether Lezcano didn't really know, to make a move or whatever it may have been, this horse was just pulled up out of the race. So I'm going to scratch that race. Comes back off of the layoff, July 1st, Belmont Park. Odds-on favorite. Gets the rail again, sits the perfect stalking trip, and then wraps around from the rail and goes 7 wide and still wins the race in hand for Joel Rosario. So I love the fact that Joel's back aboard again today. I think that last race showed the pure talent of the horse. I think this horse is going to take a big step forward here for top-end connections. This one was a Grade 1 place horse over at Longchamp in France. And, at the end of the day, we're getting a square price on top connections. They hit 30%. 2 back, we just looked at a race where you can easily cross out, where I'm not saying this horse was beating Tepin or coming close to it, but could have got a better placing. And then it comes back at Belmont, races a pretty good field, and beats him in hand going 7 wide. So based off of that, I think we get a square price. Hopefully this one's rocking and rolling late today.
Your thoughts on Stormy Victoria, the 3-horse, I thought was another monster player for Chad Brown. Just figured the horse would be overbet at the end of the day, considering it's Chad Brown on the turf. Your thoughts on this horse's chances to win the race?
Without a doubt, and I was very high on this one in her debut here at Belmont Park. I believe I singled her in whatever ticket I had going on, and she was quite impressive. And then tries Grade 2 Company in the Nassau, beaten favorite, but the horse was off slow. Didn't really look like she wanted to be a part of it. May have just been luggish. That's what sometimes happens, especially when horses ship elsewhere. It's a new turf course, and it's just unfamiliar for them. Still was a pretty game effort, though. Only finished 2 lengths off Lexi Liu, who, to be honest, I don't even know how much money she's earned because it keeps totaling up.
Right.
Comes back to Belmont, very game. She knows how to put her head down. She wins the bob. And now Chad Brown's going to, Christophe Clement, is going to put her back up here. And this isn't a Grade 2 race. This is a simple overnight stakes. We see horses make the jump from optional claiming up into the overnights all the time. So I think this one horse is the 3 is very live here. I don't know if 6-1 will happen though. Morning line, I put it at 9-2 here, so maybe that's more realistic. But either way, I think this is a horse you have to fear as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, in fact, the second horse to beat, I just don't think the value is going to be there at the end of the day. That being said, I went with the 9 horse. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Rabillard, Kara McLaughlin, Kendrick Carmouche, third off the layoff, Hot Barn. We've talked about Carmouche, who's certainly held his own to a certain degree at Saratoga this meet. I like the cutback from 1.16 to a mile. This horse just seems to be in great shape. Look at the workouts, Andrew. 4 furlongs at 47. Workout before that, July 22nd, 5 furlongs in 1 minute and 1/5. I just like the trip that I think this horse is going to set. Second shelf behind the 5 and the 6, which I see being the speed of the speed. I'm not doubting that the horses behind him are better and more talented, but at the end of the day, I went with a horse that I think is in form with a Hot Barn. I think the 9 is a major player, and I look to get around that 6-1 morning line.
And I agree with you. And look at this one beat in the last out off the layoff. And first, let's just go back to that Grade 2 the Sheepshead Bay on Derby Day at Belmont Park. It was a yielding turf course. Who knows if the horse really liked it?
Exactly.
Loses to C. Khaleesi and Gapeza, whatever, however you say that name, who was running the race before. So if that horse comes back and wins that race, Bob, you're flattered with this horse. That might drive me to look at this horse maybe for a second look, especially for trifecta purposes. But the horse goes on to win next out off that layoff, beats out a good pleasure horse and its only acting dad, beats that one by a neck. That horse comes back to win next out. I saw this horse right on the lead. I thought this horse was very dangerous on the lead. You know, we said everything we could about Kendrick Carmouche earlier in the show. Like you said, this is a Hot Barn. The buyers on my end in the last 3 races have gone from 54 to 88 to 95. So like you said, Bob, the horse is informed. And if out on the front end is going to be tough, It's just a matter of who catches it. Are you afraid of any of the horse that could threat this one on the front end?
Yeah, I was just thinking from the mile and the 16th, cutting back to a mile, might not get caught up in that hot pace duel early, could set second shelf and then get first run on the closers. I think if the 9 goes to the lead, will compromise herself and then set it up for the 3, the 10. Another horse I wanted to ask you about really quickly is the 11-horse My Sweet Girl. Tag with Manny Franco. Horse wins last time out, coming from off the pace, which I think is going to benefit horses today in this particular race. I understand it was a yielding turf course, so maybe doesn't like the fast and firm, if you will. Want to get your thoughts on 11. I think the pace is going to set up for the 11. Is the 11 good enough?
Yeah, and definitely this one has some solid pedigree, has been working out sharply over the turf course. Like you said, might get a good pace set up here. I think the horse just freaked over the yielding course last time and, got up for the bob here. But if you look back, this horse has many opportunities to win over a firm turf course, especially against weaker, and really hasn't seemed to been able to get it done. So, I respect the connections 100% here, and the pace does set up. But at the end of the day, I don't think this horse wants to win over the course.
Fair enough. Any horses at a price, Lady Laura, I don't think should be 8-1. That's just my opinion. A lot of talent in here. I think we can all agree to that for an overnight stakes. Any horse at a price that you would include and not let beat you in a pick 4 scenario?
Yeah, without a doubt, Lady Laura, like you touched on, this horse is dropping from Grade 1 company, Grade 2 company. Horses racing against horses like Celestine, Tepin, Mississippi Delta, Sandiva, just a bunch of good horses here. So, this is definitely an easier spot dropping into an overnight stakes such as this. It doesn't seem like Bill Mott's been firing on all cylinders like he usually has been. I'm not a big fan of Jose Lozano, and you guys know me. I rarely, like to chirp any jockeys out here, but he's just not my favorite guy on the circuit. But definitely has a chance. On the class drop, anything can happen, and I think one of the guys on TVG said it right. These horses dropping in class on the turf, that their form is just very dirtied up. You never know what they're going to bring, and they're tough to throw out. So I would say that's the same here for number 4, Lady Laura.
So give us your top selection once again, Andrew.
Yeah, that's number 8, Cadia, 12-1 for Camont and Rosario.
I'm on the 9, Robillard, 6-1. Before we go, had to ask you about the Whitney. Obviously, it's the biggest race of the day at Saratoga. Just a short field, and didn't want to go into too much detail when it came to this race specifically. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Frost at 3-5, one of the better performances we've ever seen in the history of horse racing. Do you think this horse wins a race? Do you think this horse is the horse to beat?
I think so, Bob. That Met Miles is going to be very tough to beat. I think if running, if that was his A+ game, I think this horse running his A- game can still beat this field. That horse absolutely crushed. Now, 3-5 is a tough price to endorse, and I know a lot of people are going to single on the pick 4s, and I probably will on one of my main tickets. But there's a lot of talented horses here, and I think because it's such a short field, anything can really happen. And I know you're kind of looking at that the opposite way, saying, oh, all he has to do is beat out 5 horses, and there's 2 horses that he can beat out any day of the week. I still think you're going to come running for him. I don't think anybody's in here to run second to Frosted. So I think there's a lot of horses to be respected here, but at the end of the day, I think Frosted is the winner.
Well, I don't think you need to ask who I'm selecting. I'm going to roll with FNX one more time. He's a warrior, and I think Frosted is going to have company up front. I know Timeform has Noble Bird going to lead by himself. I just don't see that. Noble Bird's a different horse when he gets the lead on his own, but I just don't think there's any way that Frosted is going to let that happen. The other thing I'd like to point out is that Frosted has never run that well going 2 turns in his life. In fact, in my opinion, there have been races in which he has underachieved going 2 turns to a certain degree. He's going to have to prove it to me at 3-5 before I'm believing this horse. If he wins, and he wins it in impressive fashion, then clearly you're looking at a horse that numerically can compete with California Chrome. I'm just not on that stable yet. I'm going with FNX. I'm going with the Warrior. I think he gets the pace set up, and I think he's going to win the race.
Not surprising, Bob. We're going head-to-head here. Frosted and Noble Bird, so it should be a very, very good race, although it's only a 6-horse field.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge. Quickly here, Andrew and I are taking a 1-week hiatus next week. Tournament Talk and Tournament Edge as a whole is on vacation, so we'll be back with you the week after that. And as always, until next time, good luck.
Good luck, guys.